Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
A new Okta research survey showed most Filipinos are outraged over corruption in flood control projects and strongly support President Bongbong Marcos's move to expose the scandal.
Vice President Sara Duterte takes a swipe at the Marcos administration, accusing of it controlling the narrative in the flood control probe.
The ICC disqualifies prosecutor Karim Khan from handling the case against former President Rodrigo Duterte over possible conflict of interest.
The Philippine Coast Guard has spotted unusual structures emerging from the waters of Bajo de Masinloc during its recent Maritime Domain Awareness flight.
First in the news, public outrage continues to grow over the alleged corruption in flood control projects, with many Filipinos demanding accountability and justice. Now, a new survey shows most citizens want corrupt officials jailed and stolen funds recovered. Here's the report.
Amid the widening corruption scandal over anomalous flood control projects, many Filipinos are now asking, has anyone been jailed? Online posts echoed that frustration, a sentiment reflected in a new Okta research survey conducted in late September. The poll shows 68% of respondents want corrupt officials and contractors held accountable, while 58% want the recovery of stolen public funds and the imprisonment of those proven guilty. Still, Malacanang is urging the public to be patient, saying investigations must be based on solid evidence.
Hindi po kasi ito nadadaan sa agad-agaran. Siguro bilang lawyer na ako ay mismong humahawak ng mga kaso at ako po ay humaharap mismo sa korte, kaya alam ko po kung paano ba magpresenta ng isang ebidensya.
The same survey also shows anger as the strongest emotion toward corruption in government, infrastructure projects, expressed by 60% of respondents, while only 1% say they still feel hope. When asked which institution they trust most to lead the investigation, 46% choose the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, compared to 23% for the Senate and 13% for the House of Representatives.
Sa taong bayan, wag po kayong mainip dahil sinimulan na po ito. Hintayin na lang po natin ang magandang magiging trabaho ng ICI.
Meanwhile, at the Senate budget hearing, Finance Secretary Ralph Recto said the flood control scandal has hurt the economy, diverting funds that could have fueled growth.
So this explains that in spite of having this level of expenditures, dahil napunta ang parte ng capital outlay doon nga sa ghost projects or substandard projects, halimbawa sa flood control, ay apektado yung growth natin. Ibig sabihin, kung hindi napunta sa corruption yung parte ng budget dyan, ay siguro yung ekonomiya natin would have been growing by 6 to 6.2% at mas malaki ang koleksyon ng BIR at BOC.
Recto added that the delays in legitimate infrastructure projects have also slowed economic activity, cutting materials demand, jobs, and government collections. He said that once reforms are completed and transparency is restored, economic recovery can finally begin.
Vice President Sara Duterte has accused the Marcos administration of exerting influence over the narrative in the ongoing probes into alleged corruption involving flood control projects. Here is the report.
At a press conference in Zamboanga City, Vice President Sara Duterte accused the administration of being selective in its corruption probes, saying investigations tend to stop once the office of the president is implicated.
Bakit specific yung pag-iimbestiga? Bakit hindi iniimbestigahan lahat ng corruption scandal? Bakit kinokontrol yung kwento sa corruption? Bakit hindi nilalabas lahat ng mga insidente o mga gawain o mga iskandalo sa korupsyon? Bakit pinipili? Kaya natin nasasabi lahat na merong controlling the narrative ay dahil pinipili nila kung ano yung gusto nila imbestigahan.
Duterte also questioned the integrity of the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, saying it cannot be fully trusted since it was created by the President himself.
Sinabi ko na yan, diba? Ang ginawa lang kasi ng Pangulo, noong tinamaan siya nung sarili niyang speech, na mahiya naman kayo, at nagalit yung mga tao, ang ginawa lang niya ay magpalit ng House Speaker at ng President ng Senate at gumawa ng ICI. Pero hanggang ngayon, wala pa rin nananagot. So on the question of integrity, definitely, ano siya, hindi siya reliable dahil ang Pangulo din ang gumawa.
The Vice President likewise hit Ombudsman Boying Remulla's decision to reopen the formally probe, saying the same must be done for the overpriced DepEd laptops, allegedly involving a company owned by former Congressman Zaldico. Duterte claimed this kind of selective investigation fuels the continuing street protests against corruption. Despite her criticisms, she clarified that she does not support calls for President Marcos to resign.
I never said Marcos resign. Ang sinabi ko, ma'am, unang-una, magpa-drug test siya. May challenge na siya galing kay Attorney Vic Rodriguez. And that is a hanging open challenge na hanggang ngayon ayaw niyang gawin. Na sinasabi ko, that is a betrayal of public trust.
The Vice President also denied having control over Cavite Representative Kiko Barzaga, a known critic of the President.
Hindi ko pakawala si Kiko Barzaga. Sa tingin niyo ba, sa personality ni Congressman Kiko Barzaga, isa siyang tao na mahandle ng kahit sino man? Congressman Kiko Barzaga, he is his own person, he has his own principles, and he has his own free will. And there is nothing wrong at all with what he is doing because, as I said, tayong lahat, we are covered by the freedom of speech and expression. Unfortunately, meron tayong administrasyon na hindi nila matanggap na meron talagang mga tao na number one, hindi natatakot, at number two, hindi nabibili ng pera.
Palace Press Officer Undersecretary Claire Castro dismissed Duterte's claims as all talk and accusations without evidence. She added that President Marcos is addressing corruption issues that the previous administration allegedly ignored.
And let's get some insights from Professor Edmund Tayao, President and CEO of the Political Economic Elemental Researches and Strategists, or PEERS. Good morning, Prof. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me again.
All right, Prof. Well, I'm sure you saw we played yung portion of the interview of the Vice President. It's very entertaining. What are your thoughts?
What the word that you chose to use, no? Quite entertaining, and I would probably add amusing. Well, one thing that we should bear in mind is that the Vice President is a lawyer herself.
Yes.
No? And being a lawyer, that means I'm quite sure, no, she would not have passed the bar exams if she's not familiar with, prosecution and how the process actually works, no? If we're counting days, I think ICI is about a month old.
Yes.
No, and the president actually detonated the bombshell during the SONA, so that's July. So we have the whole of September and now halfway to October, and therefore at the heat of the investigation. And given the timetable, I have no idea whether there's a model or an example that the vice president has in mind, wherein a case has been solved in not necessarily a day, but a week or two, or probably in a month. Perhaps we can recall how the Dampoles case was. I wouldn't even use the word resolve. No?
Yes.
But definitely cases were filed, and many accused were placed behind bars. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I think some of those who were placed behind the bars as decided by regular courts, not by a sitting president or not by any other
Right.
department at the court, was actually freed, no, by no less than her father,
That's right.
no,
Yeah.
former President Duterte, or at the very least during his time. And so I wondered really what the vice president is trying to share or impart, no, in this regard. Also, that if we're not singling out cases, no, using going back to her pronouncements, no, if we're not singling out cases or incidents of fraud, why is she setting aside, no, the case of Parmalee and the
Yes.
laptops in the same way that I wonder if she will agree, no, if the Napoles case has been effectively settled.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's not just this. Kahit sa Senate hearing lumalabas, hindi naman yung mga flood control projects lang ang kailangang imbestigahan dito eh. Malawakan talaga itong ang tawag dito, anomalyang ito, no? At kailangan nating makita yung kaduluduluhan. So mahirap sabihin, it's difficult to say that we will just be limiting the investigation to this administration, two, only flood control projects, and three, two, especially to particular personalities. At yun yung problema ni Congressman Kiko Barsaga. No? Hindi ko alam kung anong background ni Congressman Kiko Barsaga, kung ano man ang tinapos niya, kung may natapos man, no? Pero siguro kailangan merong magsabi sa kanya, mag-explain sa kanya na may proseso tayo para malaman natin kung si Pedro at si Juan ay talagang may kasalanan, no? At kung sila man lang
Yes,
at sila lang ang may kasalanan. What we're trying to do now, and again, sabi niya hindi niya pinagre-resign ng Pangulo, at sabi niya tuloy-tuloy pa din ang mga protesta. Ang tanong dito, sino ba yung mga nagpoprotesta? Hindi ba niya mga kaalyado yan? At kahit sabihin natin na hindi niya kontrolado yan at hindi siya nag-instigate, sino ba ang lumalabas na kakampi niyan? At kaninong interes ang kumbaga
Right.
whose interest, no, is it serving, no, as far as these activities are concerned, which is kind of obvious. At huling-huli, ang nakakalungkot dito kasi hindi na talaga tinitingnan yung proseso. Malaking bagay kasi yung proseso dito. Kasi katulad yan, magpoprotesta ka sa Forbes Park. Parang sinabi mo na ang nakatira lang dyan si Speaker Martin Romualdez lang at siguro si Congressman Saldico. Ang dami nakatira dyan. At sino-sino ang nakatira dyan? Kung masisira tayo sa Forbes Park, are we sure that it will not affect the private sector and therefore drag the country further down? So I don't think any of the efforts, no, that the opposition, if we can even call them legitimate opposition, actually is being done in the service of the country.
Right. Okay, Prof, it's already 43 days or 44 days since we started this investigation about the anomalous flood control projects. And yet, of course, a lot of people are saying, until now, wala pa naman tayo nakikitang mga big fish na nakukulong or whatever. And I understand your point that we have to respect the process. But do you think, at the rate that we are going right now, we are going through that path na talagang merong makukulong at the end of the day?
Alam mo, wag muna tayo doon sa pupunta doon sa kung may makukulong. May pangkulang sa ICI, no?
Yes.
Hindi, alam mo, sa totoo lang, kahit pa sabihin natin na mali ang ginagawa nung mga bumabati ko sa Pangulo, hindi ko maintindihan bakit hindi pa nasa-certify as urgent yung mga pending bill sa Congress. Ang dami naman na nating nadinig na explanation dito bakit kailangang maipasa itong mga batas na ito. Kasi kailangan natin maging independent talaga itong ICI at kailangan natin mabigyan talaga ng ngipin itong ICI. Hindi sapat yung executive order no? At ito ay marami nang na-explain dito. Ngayon, mabuti na lang nung nag-resign ang si Baguio City Mayor Magalong at natanong siya tungkol sa proseso ng ICI, sinabi niyang maayos at maganda ang proseso na sinusunod ng ICI. No? Kung hindi siguro doon sa kanyang pangungusap na yon, talagang hindi matatahimik ang karamihan sa pag-question, no, sa mga proseso na na sinusunod ng ICI. Kasi however we try to see it, ICI is not a court of law.
Yes.
Exactly.
No? Therefore, I myself, no, I will include my voice to those asking why the proceedings of the ICI are not being made public. And again, I go back to the pronouncement of Baguio City Mayor Magalong that there are information that are being shared, no, in the conduct of the ICI's investigation that cannot be made public. But perhaps even the ICI itself and even those invited, no, for interview or questioning, however they call it, would know beforehand whether any and all of the information that will be shared cannot be shared to the public initially. Pwede silang mag-request ng executive session in that regard. Pero yung sasabihin mo na the whole process is free from public observation, para sa akin kulang pa din yung explanation. Kaya kailangan talaga na mas palakasin pa natin yung mandato ng ICI. At yun ang talagang kulang na nakita ko dito.
Oo. Yun nga po to follow it up lang, kasi sabi nga nila, ICI must have subpoena and contempt powers. And si Congresswoman Laila De Lima has already filed the bill, pero hindi pa rin po kumikilos yung iba. Why do you think so? Especially also sa side din ng Senate.
Mahirap i-second guess yan, pero I'm sure many, if not all of the members of the House of Representatives and even the Senate, no, are all not only informed, but they are agreeable that the ICI has to be made more legitimate, no, by a legislation. I'm sorry, but even the EU creating the ICI is not even if I'm not mistaken, no, I may be wrong, but what I remember is that it was not issued by the president himself. It was issued by the authority of the president himself. And whether we like it or not, kulang no, itong creation na ito. Ang magandang balita lang dito, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, kahapon yata ito na interview, ang nabanggit ng dating DPWH and now ICI member Singson is that they already have a smoking gun, no, and that they just don't want to preempt, no, the developments in the investigation, and that's a welcome that's welcome news, no, considering, as you've mentioned, we have just
43 days, 44
days pa lang ang lumipas, no? So pero meron ng ganyan na report. Pero yun na nga, alam mo kasi hindi lang yung resulta ng investigasyon ng inaantabayanan ng taong bayan. Kailangan makita nila na talagang maayos yung proceedings.
Yes.
In other words, makikita nila na kumbaga reliable at kapani-paniwala yung proseso. Ayaw nating mangyari yung nangyari doon sa Napoles, na si Napoles lang ang kaduluduluhan.
Yeah.
At ganun din sa Parmalin, no? Bigla na lang nawala sa usapan. Alam niyo, pandemya pa nangyari yan. Isipin mo, kung namamatay na yung mga tao, ninanakawan mo pa.
That's right.
So, sorry, pero yung mga lumabas doon sa investigasyon, sila pa yung kumakapagsalita ngayon. Akala mo kung sino mga malilinis. Which is really adding insult to injury.
That's right. Prof, could it be yung agam-agam ng the other side of the political fence with regards to the independence of the ICI or impartiality stems from the fact that alam nila at the end of the day, kahit anong findings na makalap ng ICI, ipapasa ito sa ombudsman, and we all know who the ombudsman is, and we know his political stance, although the ombudsman supposed to be impartial. Could it be it's the personality himself ang kinakatakutan ng other side?
You know, there will always be a problem with personalities, no? Kasi the whole setup itself, I don't even, I never called it a system anymore, no? All we have is just a political setup, because everything actually stems from and depends on personalities, and that's
alliances as well.
That's the sad state of our public institution. So, in other words, normal yan, but it doesn't mean that they are left with no other recourse. At the end of the day, the ombudsman cannot act without evidence. Hindi naman pwedeng gumalaw yan na walang justification. At kung sakali na kulang ang magiging galaw ng ombudsman, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, maaari naman silang pumunta sa a regular court of law, or even petition the Supreme Court to force the ombudsman to act. No? So hindi ganoon natatapos 'yon. Ang alam mo, sa tingin ko, hindi yung impartiality at hindi yung objectivity ng proseso ang kinatatakutan ng kabilang grupo. Ang problema nila mapupuntahan din lahat sila diyan na tatamaan
That's right.
sa totoo. No? So it's not just the leaders of the current administration, but also those who came before them, because it's rather clear, no, from if we will recall, no, what's this the information shared in many public hearings held by both the Senate and the House of Representatives, it would seem, actually it's not would seem, this clearly started way before, no. Ngayon ito nahuli kasi talagang masyado ng garapalan yung nangyayari ngayon, pero hindi maaari na ngayon lang ito nagsimula, kasi hindi naman sila lalaki ng ganyan kung ang pinagsimulan. At yun ang pinoproblema siguro nung kabilang grupo. Kaya din nila pinipuwersa yung EDSA, kasi pag lumabas itong mga katotohanan na ito, talagang mahihirapan tayong mamili sa 2028, kasi lumalabas kailangan natin ng bagong muka at kailangan natin ng bagong pangalan.
Lumalabas walang tulak kabigin, ika nga.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and within this process, no, I might have to add that.
Go ahead.
Within this process, we need to undergo cleansing. Lahat naman ng bansa na dumaan sa ganyang problema, nag-cleansing. Tayo kasi never tayo nag-cleansing. Ang dami ng dumaang mga pagkakataon na dapat sana nag-reset tayo. Katulad nung 1986 EDSA Revolution. Ang ginawa lang natin, ibinalik lang natin yung saligang batas bago yung Marcos Constitution. Wala tayong binago sa system. Ibinalik lang natin. In other words, actually, isinip ko din ito sa isang media, kinorek pa yung opinion ko, no? Na the 1986 EDSA revolution is not a revolution because we did not change anything. We just returned the same elites to power. No? And this has been written by many experts, not just by what I wrote before. So, sa madaling sabi, baka ito na yung opportunity na kailangan natin talagang pagnilay-nilayan yung klase, ng paggugobyerno na meron tayo at hindi lang magpapalitan na alam mo yung parang musical chairs lang na ikaw muna, pagkatapos mo, ako naman ang magnanakaw. Ganun ang nangyayari sa atin
So do you think this is really going to be different right now? Because sabi nga nila, we've seen this movie already. Diba? May mga nakulong, tapos pagdating ng ibang administrasyon, lalaya na sila, nakakatakbo pa, diba? Nababalik pa sila sa pwesto. People are angry again. Pero it's a cycle, kumbaga. So, Professor, do you think it's going to be different at this time?
Sa totoo lang, I can only keep my fingers crossed that it's not going to be a replay of the same script, so to speak. Kasi kapag ganun pa din na nangyari, alam mo, ang kaibahan kasi nung Napoles case, hindi naramdaman ng tao yung, naramdaman nila in terms of lack of public services, lackluster government performance, and so on and so forth. Ito, tuwing babagyo at tuwing babaha, ramdam ng tao yung inis. Ramdam ng tao hindi lang yung discomfort, pati yung mga apektado sa pamumuhay nila, at hindi lang yun, pati yung mga nasasawi. Kaya alam mo yun, it keeps people reminded of the atrocities that resulted from all this abuse in government. Tapos kung ganyan ang magiging istorya at walang mapapanagot, walang makikitang malaking tao, fall guy lang ang lalabas diyan, At when I say fall guy, hindi lang dapat DPWH people definitely have to be held accountable kasi systemic talaga. The contractors definitely should be held accountable. Pero hindi naman makakagalaw yung dalawang yan without the participation. So meron din dapat doon. Sa madaling sabi, kumbaga sa banda, kumpleto ng act ito dapat. At pag hindi nangyari ito, sorry, pero mababait ang mga Pilipino, ayaw ng gulo, pero hindi natin masabi, Kasi talagang medyo karumal-dumal actually, Walang patayan na nangyayari, pero parang pinatay mo na din yung Pilipino sa nangyaring ito.
Pero Prof, I could cite, there's Myanmar, there's Nepal, there was Hong Kong at one point. All of them, mas maliit nga ang nangyaring mitya, and it triggered something more violent, which ayaw naman natin. Could it be, Prof, na on our part, kumbaga that's why we're not yet fully triggered as a nation for a moral or systemic revolution? It's because the top two officials in the land belong to two specific factions na there is a middle ground that is torn, that won't want to participate in this moral revolution because they don't want to be stuck with either of these two leaders.
Sinong papalit? Parang ganun.
Actually, you could not have said it better. Parang ang lumalabas dito, wala kang mapagpilian So, ako sa totoo lang, the reason why I've been quite vocal about my disagreements with the other group is that whether we like it or not, the sitting president is a legitimately elected president. It is the legitimate government, At siguro to add to what you have mentioned, apart sa walang mapagpilian, alam mo, yung Myanmar at saka yung Nepal, ngayon lang nila ginawa yan Tayo, nangyari na yan before, wala sigurong namatay, fine. Pero maraming nasira at talagang, kumbaga, it took time before we could even get back up, so to speak, So in other words, nakita na natin 2 beses na tayong nag-EDSA, kumbaga. At mismong yung mga kumbaga minamaliit yung EDSA dati, sila ngayon yung gustong mag-EDSA. So yun yung medyo katawa-tawa dito sa istorya natin So at the end of the day, kasalanan din nila kung ano yung nangyayari, But at the end of the day, we really need these two. We need the process to actually happen and completed. See the end of it, and then hopefully this will finally convince everyone from the leaders down to the common tao that we need a change. We need to come up with a system this time na hindi lang dependent
Right.
sa tao.
That's right.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras. Professor Edmund Tayo, President and CEO of the Political Economic Elemental Researches and Strategist or PEERS.
Salamat.
Thank you po.
Siguro mabilis lang na
Go ahead.
imbitasyon. Sunod-sunod na po yung mga magiging ang tawag dito seminar sa pagbabago ng sistema. Magsisimula kami sa San Beda University sa October 28. Sana tuloy-tuloy nating pag-usapan para pagkatapos mapanagot ang mga tao o habang pinapanagot yung mga taong nagkasala sa gobyerno, pag-usapan na natin yung pagbabagong totoo.
Right.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
for
so
that.
much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ombudsman Boying Remulla has lifted restrictions on public access to SALNs of government officials, effectively reversing the policy imposed by his predecessor. Here's the report.
It is now easier for the public to request the statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth or SALNs of government officials. The Office of the Ombudsman has officially revoked its 2020 order that restricted access to these documents.
This decision is guided by a simple principle. The public has a legitimate right to know how those in government acquire and manage their wealth.
Permission from the officials themselves is no longer required to view their SALNs. To request a SALN, the public must present at least 2 valid IDs, including 1 government-issued ID, and complete a SALN request form. There is a fee for reproduction and certification as outlined in the new memorandum order, which takes effect 15 days after its issuance this Tuesday.
Obviously, it can help with the lifestyle check to see if there are disproportionate wealth within the ranks.
However, some requests may still be denied. Approval can be refused if the SALN is intended for unauthorized commercial use, if the requester has a history of misusing SALNs, if the request is linked to a harassment case, or if the requester's identity cannot be verified. SALNs of national officials can be requested at the Ombudsman headquarters, while SALNs of local officials are available at the Ombudsman sectoral offices nationwide. The Ombudsman also holds the SALNs of the President and Vice President. SALNs of senator, members of the House, and the judiciary are no longer under their control, but these offices are encouraged to issue similar directives for public access. Even SALNs from the past 20 years, including those filed under the Duterte administration, are now accessible to the public.
So, even those SALNs po na kasama doon sa previous memorandum circular in the past administration is now open for public viewing.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The International Criminal Court has disqualified prosecutor Karim Khan for handling the case against former President Rodrigo Duterte over a possible conflict of interest. ICC appeals judges granted the Duterte defense's request, citing Khan's previous role representing the Philippine Human Rights Commission in communications that named Duterte as a suspect in the Jaguar killings. Khan, who already stepped aside in May amid a UN probe into alleged sexual misconduct, has been barred from taking part in what remains the ICC's only major active case. The case is now being led by Deputy Prosecutor Mame Mandiay-Niang, and Duterte, who was arrested in March, faces charges linked to thousands of killings during his administration's anti-drug campaign, but continues to assert his detention was unlawful.
Now let's talk more about that development.
We have ICC Assistant to Counsel, Attorney Cristina Conti, joining us now via Zoom. Good morning, Attorney. Thanks for joining us again.
Good morning.
All right. Of course, your reaction to this disqualification of Khan in the Duterte's case?
In a sense, ambivalent. Parang kung okay lang na oo, okay lang din na hindi.
Right.
Pero of course, one, it has very little effect on the status of the case. Kung sa biktima nga, ang tanong ay, una, babalik ba ng Pilipinas si Duterte or matutuloy ba ang kaso? Yan yung dalawang main question eh.
Right.
It does not go into either.
Attorney, nawawala po kayo?
Hello?
Hello?
Is this okay?
Yan. There you go. Go ahead.
The
Let's try that
disqualification
again.
the disqualification has minimal impact on the prosecution of the case because since May, Karim Khan has been on leave. There is an investigation ongoing as regards his alleged sexual misconduct, and he has turned over the prosecution of the case to Manjiayan Yang.
Yeah.
So he has no role, and he has said in submissions that he will not take on any roles until all this is cleared up.
Right. So this won't delay or weaken in any case in the case of Duterte.
In a sense, yes, because it does not directly impact the timeline. When I say directly impact, it's because, of course, the judges, if they're confronted with so many requests or so many issues, alin ang uunahin nila? But this issue is now before the appeals chamber. So wala na sa utak nung pre-trial chamber, which is now tackling the issue of fitness to stand trial. So at least medyo maisasantabi mo na. Also, as regards the trial itself, definitely everything will be based on evidence. Wala naman in a sense na kay Karim Khan, hindi depende kay Karim Khan yung ebidensya. May posible lang na sabihin na, naging bahagi siya nung part ng pag-weigh ng ebidensya. Pero to be clear, he has disclosed this since April this year, even before the warrant of arrest was issued, and he has recused himself from several activities of the office of the prosecutor. So he has taken steps to ensure that there will be no contamination or tainting of the evidence if that would be the argument.
Yeah.
Attorney, a lot of questions have been circulating now online and also in discussion forums about the fear of many na kung aabot pa ba ito nga sa trial. Ang isang issue is because nakikita ng iba yung tactics daw ng defense is laging when you ask them about yung reaction to the case of the former President Duterte, it's always saying that his detention is unlawful. Parang hindi daw nakasentro ang depensa sa innocence but rather sa jurisdiction ng ICC, and parang they're hell-bent daw on preventing it from going to trial.
Technicality always.
That's precisely what we also see. Talagang ganon no? Kasi moving forward, kung mag-trial, ano ang depensa na sasabihin ni Duterte? And actually, we already have a glimpse into his defense. Tinatanong kasi yan, will you avail of the grounds excluding criminal responsibility under Article 31? Will you claim alibi? Will you claim mental incapacity? Will you claim self-defense? Will you claim you are under duress? None.
Yes, that's
So
right.
on the merits, mukhang, kumbaga, haharapin nila to na, hindi ganon ang intensyon. Pero you have a lot of documents, a lot of videos of the accused himself saying, or suspect pala ngayon, saying, ako gumawa niyan, ang kasalanan ko lang ay EJK. So for many, they think it is indefensible. Okay? Which is why it seems as if the game plan is not to go to trial entirely. And there's 2 points now. One, jurisdiction. Wala namang capacity yung korte na pagpasyahan yan. And 2, hindi siya okay or the suspect himself is not fit to stand trial. So, two-pronged yung approach nila as regards this. Inuuna nila ngayon yung fitness to stand trial. If forward ko na rin yung sa argument. Kasi baka si Bato de la Rosa nakikinig. Or yung ibang akusado.
We talked about it the other day. Yesterday, diba? Go ahead.
Yeah, so if we were to talk about fitness to stand trial, it's only personal to Duterte. Siya mismo, hindi niya kaya na matuloy yung trial. Sa ICC kasi bawal lang in absentia. Or bawal absent in person or absent in spirit. Parang ganon. Dapat okay ka na intindihan mo kung anong nangyayari. It's personal and therefore cannot apply to other accused. But if the court has no jurisdiction, the impact will be wide-ranging. Ibig sabihin, kahit na sino na masangkot dun sa issue o masama pa, madagdagan ng kaso, ay hindi dapat matry sa korteng ito.
It's a good point,
Yeah, yeah,
Oo, it's a good point. Kasi di ba baka kasi sinasabi nila, sige, hindi ka maka-stand sa trial, pero ongoing pa rin yung investigation. Not necessarily mean na tapos na to. Di ba? Oo. Pero, Attorney, what do you have to say also doon sa, of course, right now, there's a recent survey done by the social weather stations. Ang sabi dito, they want former President Rodrigo Duterte held accountable for deaths linked to the drug war during his administration. This is the kind of survey na during his administration, the Duterte administration, hindi mo makikita yan. Hindi mo maririnig na may mga ganitong klaseng survey. So what do you have to say to that na right now, people are actually voicing out also their opinion regarding this case?
Well, I think it's consistent with what we feel on the ground. In fact, mas mataas pa nga ang tingin namin. Kasi kahit yung mga, sabihin na natin, supporters, yung ilang supporters niya, sinasabi na kailangan naman niyang harapin yan para, of course, iba yung objective nila, para masabi na wala talaga siyang kasalanan.
Yes.
So, may ganong sentimiento kasi ito ang sobrang laki at sobrang impossible to ignore. Hindi yung tipong, wala talagang nangyaring patayan. I have seen a few, parang mass murder deniers. Na, hindi, wala namang namatay. Konti lang yung namatay. Pero, if you lived in the Philippines, nasaan ka? Nasa ilalim ba ng bato? It's impossible to ignore the killings and how they happened. So, for others, for many, I guess, talagang kailangang harapin sa korte. Hindi naman sinabi dun sa survey na kailangan bang guilty siya o siya ang may kasalanan Kaya I would say it's fair enough. But I would have to raise this, that there was actually a survey during the time of Duterte that talked about extrajudicial killings. Sensitibo, ang sinasabi yata nun, how comfortable are you or natatakot ka ba na magkaroon ng extrajudicial killings? And similarly, by a bit of majority, parang between 50 to 60%, ganun, sabi din nila, takot kami na magkaroon na maging biktima ng extrajudicial killings sa konteksto ng war on drugs.
Okay.
So, nandun yung parang pansarili na safe ba ako dito? And I would guess may konting punto dun dito. Kung gusto mong managot ang isang tao sa extrajudicial killings, it's supposed to be a deterrent o pagpigil ng future crimes. Kasi kung mananagot yung ulo or mananagot yung mga may gawa, dapat protection yon na hindi na ulit mauulit ito.
Attorney, with regards to yung trial proper, kasi inabangan ng marami yan, is it true na hindi pwede ito magsimula until the warrants also for the other principal accused are also served, like sila Senator Bongo and Senator Bato de la Rosa have to be also within the custody of the ICC?
No. So there's a bit of difference in the ICC kasi pag sa Pilipinas, tapos na ang investigasyon, saka palang lalarga yung kaso, tama?
Yes.
Sa ICC, tama, tuloy-tuloy yung investigation. Sabi kanina ni Angela na there is a pending case but there's also an investigation. Until the investigation is closed, the ICC can still continue to mount cases against people that they determine as most responsible. And with that, medyo iba din na kapag na-open pa lang yung case, doon pa may pagkakataon na pag-usapan anong charges.
Okay.
Sa atin kasi medyo pinal na kung anong charges. Kaya di ba parang kailangan pulido yung investigasyon kasi pagpunta mo ng korte, touch move.
Yes.
Action na.
Matatalo ka o hindi. Dito sa ICC, dahil di ba walang PI, parang di natin narinig na mag-counter affidavit si Duterte, di ba?
Yeah.
It's because only at the confirmation of charges will we have the accused or the suspect for the first time contest the charges.
Okay.
So, may pagkakataon pang ganon. Kaya, pwedeng lumarga yung kaso ni Duterte separately, pero pwede ding in the middle, magkaroon ng warrants of arrest issued against other accused at lumarga din yon separately. At ang sabi nga nila, in an investigation, up to, parang on the average or at the most, I have to check, up to 6 other co-perpetrators are charged in a particular situation or in a particular happening. Ang tawag kasi dito sa
separate cases.
Yeah.
Separate cases. 6
Okay.
individuals
Okay.
charged. And it's not necessary that they are all together in one case.
Okay.
Ayun. Yun ang abangan
Malinaw,
natin.
at least malinaw
And then
yan.
we have a lot of questions pa, pero unfortunately we don't have much time. But hopefully we can still invite you. For the meantime, maraming salamat po for your insights. ICC Assistant to Counsel, Attorney Cristina Conti.
Salamat, ingat.
The Philippine Coast Guard has spotted unusual structures emerging from the waters of Bajo de Masinloc during its latest Maritime Domain Awareness flight. Here is the report.
It's an unusual sight, even for the Philippine Coast Guard, to spot what appear to be foundations during its latest Maritime Domain Awareness flight over Bajo de Masinloc on October 13. Aerial footage showed 2 clusters of structure like formations sticking out of the water not far from the only entry and exit passage of the shoal. The PCG plans to conduct more MDA flights to identify what it calls mysterious structures.
Well, para sa akin, napaka-unlikely kasi na this, kung wooden man ito, again, it's very hard for us to tell whether these are wooden, concrete, or metal poles, no? Either way, para sa akin, it's very hard to imagine that if it's a wooden pole, eh talagang dun lang sila magtatambak, di ba? You can actually see how big etong bahura na to ng Bajo de Masinloc. And kung ang argument is probably baka isang bagsakan lang kaya na-drift sila dun, eh di sana dun pa lang sa may bukana nung mababang area. Not within dun sa loob na ng mababang area. But again, these are still speculations. No?
Aside from the floating barrier earlier installed by China at the mouth of Bajo de Masinloc, the PCG also spotted a buoy at the center of the lagoon. According to Commodore J. Tariella, PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, this is the first time a buoy has been sighted in the area. Before the MDA flight, the PCG and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources conducted a Kadiwa mission for Filipino fishermen near Bajo de Masinloc. Chinese vessels repeatedly drove away Philippine boats operating within the country's exclusive economic zone. According to China, the presence of Filipino vessels supposedly threatens Bajo de Masinloc, which they now call an environmental reserve.
This is China Coast Guard 3301. Recognized the National Natural Reserve of Huangyan Island of the People's Republic of China. Your actions may cause damage to the environment of our reserve.
This is the first time that we monitor China Coast Guard vessels using yung line nila na meron silang natural reserve dito and that they are preventing the Filipino fishermen from getting close Bajo de Masinloc because it will endanger their natural reserve.
Tariella said the claim has no legal basis, as only the Philippines has the right to enforce laws within its EEZ. He added that this may be a new tactic by China to justify its presence in the area. Tariella also dismissed China's supposed concern for the environment.
It's very surprising that the Chinese government is claiming that they are protecting the marine environment. Dahil for so many years, we have monitored Chinese fishermen destroying the marine environment, harvesting giant clams, and even without hesitation, no? Ang panghuhuli ng pawikan at ng mga endangered species sa Bajo de Masinloc.
For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
The Philippines has filed 47 diplomatic protests against China so far this year over its aggressive actions in the West Philippine Sea. The Foreign Affairs Department said a new protest will also be filed over the water cannon and ramming incidents near Pag-asa Island last October 12, bringing the total to 48 protests in 2025 and 245 since 2022. The DFA explained that each protest is based on verified reports from the country's security agencies and sent to Beijing through a note verbal.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Please stay with us.
PhilInvest so successful today it feels right, a PhilInvest Land event in partnership with Signal and MQAA Artists Agency In Alabang, Muntinlupa, the event brought together a diverse group of speakers who highlighted the numerous benefits of home ownership with Philinvest Land.
One of our mission in Philinvest Land is to provide home ownership or yung access to home ownership more accessible to more Filipinos across the country. Whenever we entertain or close a deal with a client, it's not just a sale. We make it a point that it feels right for them to own a home right now.
Kapatid actor Mark Rivera was also present at the event, where he discussed the value of property investment and the significance of having a comfortable space to unwind after work.
Designing and investing is not a joke. So investing is for a long-term project for your own life and for your future family. As an actor, it's very important to create that cozy room that makes me rest. A house has to create peace and really give me energy throughout my daily routine.
Newlywed celebrity couple Cedric and Kate Wan emphasizes the significance of property ownership, highlighting its importance as they embark on a new chapter of their lives and begin to build a family of their own.
Kaya very important kung saan mo dadalhin yung pera mo. Siyempre, kailangan talaga na may meron ka matatawag na sarili mong bahay. And very important yung kasi nga, we have a kid.
I think now more than ever, it's important for us to think about what we are going to invest in, whether it's time, people, anything that can better the quality of life of our family.
Cedric Wan is also part of 51st Metro Manila Film Festival entry, Manila's Finest, marking his third consecutive appearance alongside Piolo Pascual.
I have my own entry ngayon sa Metro Manila Film Festival for third time, thank God. Title is Manila's Finest and director ay si Raymond Red. It's a period drama film and I'm part of the Philippine Constabulary. Philippine Constabulary is the group of police, paramilitary sila na directly kumukuha ng order to Malacanang.
Mga kapatid, mobile journalist Francis Rivera, we are One News.
Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
Leaders from different sectors convened for an AI stakeholders conference to call for collaborative action. The details in this report by mobile journalist Ray Vicente.
Ethical, secured, and sustainable AI system in the country. How is AI being used on a national scope? DOST held its two-day National Artificial Intelligence Stakeholders Conference that calls for collaborative action towards AI adoptive system. The conference aims to have a future AI-ready country with its theme of shaping the future of an AI-powered Philippines.
It is grounded in our collective mission to build robust infrastructure, to develop a future-ready workforce, to uphold ethical governance, and to strengthen research and innovation.
Aside from different AI adoptions, leaders from different sectors also emphasize the need of an ethical and balanced innovation.
As we deploy these autonomous decision makers across critical sectors, we need new ethical frameworks, regulatory structures that acknowledge AI's agency while ensuring human oversight and values remain central.
Meanwhile, the DOST reminded that AI is not a threat but a tool to help.
It is here and it is working for us. AI technologies are now enhancing our transport systems, modernizing financial services, boosting creative industries, improving energy and environmental monitoring, and strengthening national defense and public security. Across all these areas, our collective goal is to make AI a tool for inclusion and not disruption.
Kapatid Ray Vicente, we are One News.
Here are some of the latest stories in sports. Filipino tennis star Alex Ayala bowed out early at the Japan Women's Open, losing to Czech qualifier Teresa Valentova in straight sets. The 20-year-old Ayala, currently ranked world number 54, struggled against the 18-year-old Valentova, who dominated the match in just under an hour and a half. Now here at home, The Creamline Cool Smashers defeated the Petrogaz Angels in 4 sets in their highly anticipated PVL Reinforced Conference matchup. Impert Courtney Schwan led the way with 27 points, including 3 clutch hits late in the 4th set to secure the win. Yan, no? Ano ba team mo dyan sa PVL?
Sino yung panalo?
Ayos yan kung sino yung panalo.
Doon tayo kung sino yung panalo.
No, pero umiinit na yung labanan, ha? And we've been talking about this for the longest time. Emerging sport talaga tong
volleyball.
Oh, volleyball. Kasi for the longest time, basketball nation tayo. Tapos may boxing, billiards. Ngayon, volleyball is there. Oo. Pero, yung yung sa Blue Ribbon Committee, supposedly one more hearing left.
Yes.
So inaabangan ng marami if it's gonna be held out this week or next week pa.
Tapos, afternoon kasi they will decide if they will still continue. If not, if yes, baka daw in executive session.
Kasi pag-uusapan na yung findings and reports na kung recommendations and yung mga batas na pwedeng i-craft or i-amend.
Kasi nga daw in aid of legislation.
Gano'n naman talaga dapat ang function yan, in aid of legislation. Alright, and that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.